Welcome back to Disco Elysium, where we go on our date! Yay, we have a date! A 3-person date. Great! The woman gazes steadily at the waves. A sudden gust picks up her dark hair and lets it fall again, tousled white. She brushes a few stray locks from her eyes, and only then spots you approaching.
Aye, so here you are, early in the morning and the sun is up. And not a drunk or teenager in sight. I'm surprised. Know that you're not the first guy to bring a girl to Land's End. This is what locals call a make-out spot. That is not going to happen here today. I just want to make that clear, Dimples.
Across the rusty water, that's La Detta, the financial district. In the mist-covered distant towers rise as a rebuke to the poverty of the coast. You seem surprised that I made it. Drinking men aren't known for keeping their appointments. Wouldn't miss it for the word. The word? Those big words men like to throw around as though they had weight. Let's just admire this piece of the world we happen to have in front of us, yeah? As she turns to face the sun reflected in the waves and skyscrapers across the bay, you cannot help following her steady gaze. You should say something, anything. Maybe the tequila sunset thing? Keep quiet about your sordid past. The sun reflected in waves and skyscrapers rising across the bay is mesmerizing. Your mind clears for a moment as your senses take it all in, not just the glass skyscrapers, fragile looking in the shimmering air. River Esperance flowing into the bay. Isn't it strange for this all-powerful thing, the sun, to be so generous towards us? You know, the best time to go out fishing is usually towards sunset, when the water is warmer. The sun also falls on the Capeside tenements and war-torn ruins. An old sea fortress juts out, seemingly impervious to the sheen cast over everything else, shaking you out of your reverie. The sun does little for the dead and those hopelessly lost in their own minds, or people living in desert climates with sparse vegetation and little drinking waters. Is that why you named your boat the Sun? Oh, that was a bit of pride and a bit of superstition, and a bit of conceptual unity too, it being yellow and all. And I'm just enjoying the view. There's salt in the air and the cries of the gulls and the skuas, the grit of sand and the green glint of broken butters, but still your gaze always returns to the dazzling streaks of light wherever they may be reflected, their opulence. It's bringing us spring, summer, it's entirely on our side no matter what we do or who we are. For absolutely no reason. It's unlike no other powerful being, certainly no powerful organization or government. How can that be? Well, something's gotta be on our side. I guess we wouldn't really be here if that thing wasn't on our team. Say something about the sun. Here we go, 2 different approaches to cap this off with style. Yeah, I stare into the sun. Yeah, massive thermonuclear reaction 5 billion years old. The sun is a god. Aye, and a benevolent one. When did you last have any of those on your side? When I had my love with me. Well, now you have that giant thing to watch over you, so to hell with love, you know. The wind's gonna pick up soon and I have to go, but... She takes her sword off the scabbard, the blade reflects the sunlight, a dark orange. Then she hands it to you. Have this. The sun's good, but it doesn't stick things. I've no use for it anymore. Are you sure you don't need the sword? No, the men around here are too drunk to pose a threat to me. Lieutenant looks at the sword with distrust in his eyes. Do not bring it into a gunfight, he thinks. Please understand it's merely ceremonial. Think we can do this again sometime? Doubt it, but thank you for the company. This is as far as it goes with her. You'd need to put a year between you and your last drink for anything more. Thank you for coming on this walk with me. Farewell. Wow, I got my date, and she brought a gift, and the gift was a sword. As she walks off, the wind picks up and the light from the sun seems to fade. The crumbling silhouette of failed electrical R&D towers in the distance, beckoning. I hope this has been refreshing for you, detective. Let's return to our research with a fresh pair of eyes. Yeah. Next quest done. The blade of this mass-produced... Equip this to impress yourself. Of this mass-produced saber has dealt over the years and won't slice or stab anyone. It still commands respect in your hand, however. Holding it onto its bakelite hilt fills you with a sense of purpose and a memory of the date. Equip this when times are most dire. It says about the pistol. Okay, let's equip the pistol before we go down in that cave, I think. But let's first go to Joyce Messier. Let's go to Joyce. Quite a bit of walking involved, but not as bad as in most other RPGs where I have to stop like every 5 meters. I have to stop for 5 minutes for fighting enemies. And it just doesn't help convey the story. And this game shows that very clearly. You don't need real fights in an RPG to make it good RPG.
I see you haven't left our little Martinez yet. Still running around like some kind of cross-country law official.
I still have a case to solve. I guess you do. What's on your mind, officer? Be seeing you.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
So I've been dealing with Everett again? She nods with well-contained curiosity. Mr. Everett helped me to find my gun. Stupendous, I didn't think you'd pull through. Check it out. No need to flash my gun around. Let's just say I have it now. Thank God. Thank God, and indeed Mr. Everett as well. In this investigation one may have use for a firearm. You wouldn't want to get caught with your pants down. Ma'am, this whole thing is a takeover. A takeover? Yes, it's not a strike. You're being let in because there's nothing to negotiate. The union is taking the terminal. They're taking it. She looks towards the colorful mountain of crates, like toy blocks rising above Martinez, green livery changing into red, blood by blood. Like a cancer of the blood metastasing. Then we're talking about a war. Everett needs to let me into the harbor at once. We need to talk about this. He's ready for a war. War, they all are. They most certainly are not. Krenner has 1,000 men on their payroll. The next batch will be a platoon of 20 men in the gunship. I've seen the Union's forces. They're better organized than these mercenaries. They also have the support of the people of Revachol West. It will take more than Krenner to wipe them out. White Pines will need to send more and better equipped men. Make no mistake, ma'am. I'm sure you have the money. The question is how many years and how many lives are you willing to sacrifice? What do you suggest I do? First, will this affect your decision-making process? Everything affects the decision-making process of detective. Officer. The look on Kim's face conveys uncertainty. He doesn't even sound angry. For once, I don't seem to know what the right thing to do is. I wish there was a disco option. I have no idea what they're... It's not the RCM's job to make these decisions. I'm not taking the moralist answer, but the real answer. Of course, your job is to clean up after them, and it looks like there will be a lot cleaning to be done in the near future. So what are you going to do? What will I do? Did I ever tell you how they discovered this isola during our reality lowdown? You said you would one day. It may be the only break we ever caught as a species, the last one for 400 years. The nation who colonized this isla called theirs Mundi, the word. It was all they knew, all they thought would be. That there would be something more was a gamble, akin to another world, or life after death. The Pale was thought to be impregnable, perpetual. Irene la Navigateur, the Queen of Suez, sent 8 expeditions, one after the other, into the Mars at the edge of the world. 5 of the crews did not return. 2 did, but had lost their minds. 8, is that a normal number? It was anything but normal. There was no precedent. People thought she was punishing the admirals or had gone mad, or both. Until after years of trial and error and the development of a strict psychological regime imitating the creation process of poverty, called Volto do Mar, or Return from the Sea. The 8th expedition returned, sane and intact. They told of a new continent of matter. They told the Queen and her counselor, Dolores Day, that the Pale had began to condense day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute, slowly raining down until it formed a vast ocean. The air is cold and scented with petrichor. This ocean. The phenomenon has never again been encountered. For a time, the crew thought they were experiencing hallucination. The masthand proclaimed, "L'Insuline, l'Insuline," the signal to wake up. But they could not. They were sane and conscious as islands began to appear on the horizon. There are 78,000 uninhabited islands on the Insulinian archipelago, officer, the freckled face of gods. You've thought it 1,000,000 times. After life, death, after death, life again, after the world, the Pale, after the Pale, the world again. A total shift in human comprehension of reality. On the 2nd day, a great skua was shot down above the flagship Elysium. The bird was preserved and brought back, along with pollen. 4 years later, the Queen's counselor was proclaimed Her Innocence Dolores Day, the elected word spirit. The age of humanism, internationalism, and parliamentary rule followed. We were high. And this was the last break we got. The nations of Mundi proceeded to discover 5 more isolae, or they discovered us, all in a rush of the great inter-isolary reconnection. But these others weren't uninhabited. We had to kill people there, wipe up indigenous populations, gunboat economies, or they came to do the same for us, or had done to each other. But there was no one but the skua, the lily care, and the blood beach, and the river Esperance. It was the new world. The Mondials used it to amass the greatest concentration of wealth mankind has ever seen. Revachol the suzerain. What happened? Revolution, poverty, and the mercurial rise of capitalism. It's raining. It is. Soon it will be spring and everything will blossom. The gangs will run wild, jacking mockery carriages, ferrying amphetamines through core city. Spring is tough in Revachol. The great skua was the first bird they saw, the first living autonomous organism, proof of reality. It's the symbol of insolent detective, the coat arms of the suzerain, and the wings of on the crest of the commune. I seem to have it for me. I broke one. In your defense, it's a nasty creature who plucks food from the throats of lesser birds, yet much like Revachol, it's also magnificent and rare. Imagine the suzerain of seagulls. There was a sting in your heart that I mentioned before, when she said its name. Leaving us here, on Caillou, the pebble, the largest of the fertile uninhabited islands in the northeast Insulinian archipelago, 4 centuries and 2 revolutions later. What will you do? I will take your advice, Lieutenant Geffreter. I will surrender Terminal B to the Union. I didn't say that. Is that within your means? She puts her hand in the rain. She's silent for a second. I didn't say anything. She just now took the, because I'm mostly communist, yeah, but also ultra-liberal moralist. Where did I get my one fascist point from? She puts her hand in the rain. She's silent for a second. We will see. Ma'am, this will well unravel property law this side of the river. If that occurs, we may never see the end of this kind of confrontation. The next time there will be 2 strikes, then 4, then 100. What happens will happen. She takes the end in her rain-slick hand and starts untying the knot. The age of capital has only begun. I will talk to my employers in person. We'll amputate and cauterize Martinez if you handle the situation on the ground. You're going now? Yes, Mr. Clare has a 2-month head start. I can't let it grow any bigger, and I've exhausted all my options from here. We? She generally avoids that term with her employers. There are no employers. She's a member of the board, probably a partner. You are the Wild Pines. There are no employers. She turns to your open hand. You are the citizens' militia. There are no superiors. What? Of course I have superiors. That's right, detective, and next time you should confer with them before you go setting events in motion. Despite his words, he's not really sure whether to be annoyed with you or not. Events are already in motion, whether your actions accelerated or momentarily retarded their progress, even the lieutenant cannot really say. Even after all this time, I still don't really understand who you are or what your angle is. I have not deceived you. I told you who I was. Rejoice Layton. Understood.
Keep the peace, and I will keep my end of the bargain.
How far along is Cronell's investigation?
A confrontation is imminent. They have followed in your footsteps. As your investigation reaches a climax, so does theirs. They are your shadow. Arm yourselves. Armor yourselves. Protect their targets. Violence may be unavoidable, but we can limit the casualties.
When will they make their move? Where?
Soon. I do not know precisely. They have cut off all communication, you see. They know I've been feeding you information. One last thing, Lieutenant Dubois. I've given the matter much thought and come to this conclusion. You're not an amnesiac. You're insane. I know, because I too am insane. I just hide my illness better. And I'm rich.
Isn't everybody a little insane?
No, detective. No one's as insane as you.
Don't worry, madame. I am very sane.
You're over-radiated?
I'm overexposed, baby. My travels take me through the Pale dozens of times a year. I've got the longing, and I've got it bad.
She would die to return to it, the Pale, the past, anything one can return to. How do you keep it together?
The same strict psychological regimen the 8th Admiral developed when he crossed the Pale and discovered this isola, the Volta de Mar. It's used by inter-isolary travelers and other troubled souls, even to this day.
You could use a little of it yourself. Goodbye, Rejoice Layton.
Watch out for yourselves. They will strike soon.
Lieutenant watches her boat grow small on the bay, its white sails fluttering. With worry in his eyes, he does not know if it was the right thing to do, but he doesn't say anything. You wonder what Everett has to say about this. Slowly the sails turn a grey-blue as more oxygen gets between you. And we have complete cleaning out the rooms. We can now have our final dream. What if you didn't lose your memories? What if something in Martinez came and stored it all away, for you to slowly open one box at a time, so you can choose which parts to keep? Keep almost none of it, only the flowers on the windowsill, only the distant sound of a radio, lose all the actors, the dark shadows, leave only the still lives, the blissful distant wash of waves. If everybody knew, you never did. She be coming soon, that is all. Wake up in a new life by the seaside. That's a very good thing. Suggestion in the Empire rhetoric. Okay. And we're done with Joyce Messier. I'm running back to Everett to see if he has something to say to that. But I think he will not. I might cut it out. Holding the gun feels natural and satisfying. It's like an extension of your arm. the polished wooden handle almost fusing into your palm. I think my hand recognizes it. It reminds you the day you first had it with fear and respect, hoping you don't have to use it in vain. The sun was out in Jamrock, it was so long ago. Sheath your sidearm, officer. A serious law official, cop by the book, should know to only unholster their service weapon when using it is unavoidable. Okay, I just thought about arming myself. See you at Everett's. And at Everett's, at least we have this perception thing. This is not a fishing rod, is it? It's not a fishing rod? No idea what you're talking about.
So, the ship has sailed. Did you see it? I know you did. Tell me, what did it look like as it grew smaller and smaller, when that mainsail dropped behind the horizon?
There's a mean little light in his eyes.
Did it look like a germ? Did it look like a piece of bacteria?
You get a sinking feeling. Oh my god, you've been played. You wanted me to deliver that message to her. That this is a takeover, that I want a war. God, I hope you also told her about the drug trade. They absolutely hate getting their hands dirty with that. You can kill 1 million people, but if you do something the police doesn't like, well then you're out of the yacht club. A vein on his forehead is pulsating. Goodbye, you inhuman fuck. No, I know why you've been so forthcoming. No, Harry, what we have is real. We're working men. This here is real. So this was your plan all along, for me to relay this information to her. Harry, I can't see into the future. We are all playing by ear on this planet. I had no idea she'd react so strongly. But you did want me to relay info to her. I did. I knew the negotiations would go better with police officers telling her horror stories from inside the harbor. It's scarier this way. Turns out it was a magnificent strategy. I never thought it would so fundamentally fuck her up. How do you know she left? Harry, I bugged her cabin, I bugged her whole boat, I had cameras surveying her boat, hell, I even wanted to bug that thermal cup, but my boys advised against it. They must have done it while Joyce was busy questioning the locals. So you've been listening to our conversations all the time. Not me personally, I had guys recording and processing this info for me, the Hardys. Hell no, they fuck it up. They can't do anything right. I mean my real boys, my special task force boys. Where are these boys? They sure as hell aren't hanging out in the open with beers in their hands for the cops to question. They're pros, Mr. Kitsuragi. That's what, how you got me to do all that stuff. Harry, you made a conscious decision to relay that information to her. You could have kept it for yourself. But she told me a beautiful story about the discovery of the insulin. Of course she did. Rich people have the best stories about all the interesting things they've done and seen, or the beautiful places they've been to. It's just sentimentalism. She can afford to be sentimental, and she can afford to lose as well. You used my intellectual curiosity against me. Against you, or Harry, I'd like to think I used it for you. But she said she's insane, like me. She's not insane. What did she tell you? She's overradiated from paratransit. No, she's not. She's a sentimental alcoholic. They all are. Never take a drop and you'll be 8 laps ahead of those upper-class viners. Just like old Mr. Clare here. Try it. You'll be a real super detective. I've actually walked the path of sobriety for a while now. I can see that, Harry. Alcohol has left its mark, but you're doing better than when I first saw you. Rich man is shitting himself. The working class. Sober. So what's going to happen now? What was always going to happen? We take the harbor and she fucks off to a zone, uncorks a bottle of wine, calls her partners and says they need to distance themselves from this nasty business before the big shit spinner splashes everyone. Only difference is the Union doesn't have to lose 2,000 men to machine gun fire. I have a bad taste in my mouth. You better make sure this ends up saving lives. That it will, Harry. That it will. As to the bad taste, please, you're not a sommelier, you're a cop. You knew something big, and you wanted to see what happens when you tell someone, so you told her. Anyone who's ever been close to power will tell you inside information is the sweetest thing in the world. Inside information. It's better than money, it's better than pussy. Money only makes you special for some salesmen. Pussy only makes you special for yourself. Information makes you special for all mankind. It's the ticket to history. My thoughts exactly. Right on, Harry. What you did was participate in history. When history calls, you have to pick up. You had no choice. None of us ever do. A hard disco cop like you, I knew you weren't one to resist temptation. You know what, detective, I'm going to leave this out of my report, and I suggest you leave it out of yours too. Huh. Just look at the three of us. The three careless boyaderos. Good times, good times. So what the fuck now? Now let bygones be bygones, because there's work to do, for me and for you. I suppose that was a reason you came here, so let's have it. What can I help my best friend and comrade with today? There was a bullet in the handsman's head, so they shot him. He was shot in the head before he was hanged. How odd. I don't know what to say. They told me they hanged him. A hanged man is what I saw when I took a look into that yard. It's impossible to say if he's telling the truth there. What I do know is the case is in safe hands. If anyone can get to the bottom of this shot and hanged man, it's my two little policemen. Godspeed, policemen. Goodbye, Everett. Okay. We'll see us when we reach the whirling, where we have our next little thing going on. Okay, let's equip ourselves. Gun. Saber. Or that. No. Same gun and ledger. Then the jacket shouldn't be this one. Should be RCM Patrol Cloak. We should really have the horrific necktie, yes. So we get the point where it wants to talk to me. We don't need savoir-faire glasses. Visual calculus is good, as well as it would be Inland Empire or Empathy. And we have 3 pieces of the armor on. Okay. We are ready to face the culprit. Let's go further. We have a concrete pipe buried in scented dust. Real? Montreal. Okay. Ruby the Instigator, suddenly your entire body is paralyzed. Aggressive white noise fills your skull. A strange pain like you've never felt before. Through the static you hear a woman's voice. It's like 1,000 radio stations are being blasted into your head all at once, but her words are the only ones you can make out.
I know you're feeling pretty uncomfortable right now. Don't move too much or fight it. That'll just make it worse.
Says the shadowy figure by the machine.
Can't say it's a pleasure, officer. I was really hoping not to make your acquaintance. But here we are.
The voice coming through the whirlwind of pain is not malicious. She doesn't want to hurt you, but she has to. Doesn't wish to hurt you? Not according to your ear canals. Wait, no. Not even your ear canals. This is going directly into your neural pathways. I cover my ears. Nobody, that's not going to help. You can't shield yourself from this. It's an entirely new type of experience, way worse than all the previous ones. Don't focus on the pain, focus on doing your job. Tell her that she's under arrest. You are under arrest.
Really now? Check this out.
She turns the dial in her hand. You're overwhelmed with a new surge of violent static. It feels like a blood vessel exploded in your brain. Are you gonna kill me too?
No, I'm not gonna fucking kill you. If that had been my plan, you'd be dead already. All things considered, I'm being pretty reasonable here. I'm using a pale latitude compressor. You and your partner have been caught in its field.
The explosion of static you're hearing, it's the Ulan frequency, blasted from that pale emitter Fate Angus has mentioned. I saw your equation, it's the Ulan
Saw
frequency.
my equations? You've been sniffing through my lorry, right? Well, I expected as much. Though I am a bit surprised you knew what you were looking at.
13684137893. You should probably check on Kim. That's what good partners do. Look back at Kim. Right behind you, officer.
A pale latitude compressor is used to sort of make the pail more manageable. With a lot of these, you can force a radio signal grid on the pail. Literally crunch the distance across it. Signals are relayed across a series of repeater stations fixed to buoys. Not a fun job manning those stations. I'm alone out there in the pale. People lose their minds in just a few years.
So, what we are experiencing is a concentration of radio waves.
Precisely. This is an industrial strength paraboloid. It's meant for forcing dimensions on something that doesn't have them. Needless to say, the frequencies used are out of this world. At the upper limit is the large prime number generator station. It's used specifically for pale latitude compression. That's why you might be hearing some numbers. But you might also hear, or think you're hearing, local radio chatter.
She's been holed up in here for a while with no one to talk to. Keep her talking, you just might get an opportunity to break loose. Have you experienced the compressor yourself?
Yeah, I stuck my head in there before using it on you. Seemed like the ethical thing to do. Can't say that I enjoyed it. The field was weaker, but I can imagine what you're going through.
How did you get your hands on this
I
thing?
built it myself.
That's illegal. I'm guessing it's patented. But we are beyond that, aren't we?
Oh yeah, way beyond.
Will I stay like this forever?
No. Once I shut down the compressor, the pain will end. It may take a few minutes for you to steady yourself, though. It's a bit like walking out of a very confusing dream.
This is all great, but let's talk about the man who was
Yeah,
killed.
let's not talk about that shit. You were hunting me and fell into my trap instead. That's all there is to say about it.
So she thinks of you as hunters, not cops, and of herself merely as prey. Please, could you just turn it down so I can ask you something?
If you've got something really important to say, you can do it through the white noise.
If you're looking for a deal on mattresses, or Rosaline or Rosaline.
Damn this!
God damn it.
She regards you and Kim with some sympathy.
Fine. If you really want to talk, I can dial it down. I've also got a gun, by the way.
She steps reluctantly out of the shadow. The pain lessens. The gun she's carrying is a two-barreled front loader, not like the murder weapon. Well, it doesn't feel much better, but you can form sentences now. Thinking doesn't seem to hurt quite as much. Just keep her talking and you get through this. There's only 3 meters between you and the machine. If you keep her distracted for long enough, maybe. Be careful when you make your move. That will be it for questions. Bide your time. How did you know we were coming? I heard you in the passages and I've been preparing for quite a while. By hiding bullets under floorboards? So you found my shack, huh? I'm not surprised. Her tone is bitter. She thinks she's been betrayed. She didn't rat you out, by the way, Isabel, the washerwoman. So nice. That's one knife I didn't want to find in my bag. As opposed to the other knives she's finding there now, hardy for one. Preparing for the worst? I was, before I caught you in the pale latitude compressor. I'm fine now. That's her admitting the bullet was an emergency exit. It was dark in the shack. The waves outside had calmed down. She looked at the loaded gun, then she cracked the barrel open and took the bullet out. Not today. Did you shoot Lally? No, I didn't do it. I only helped stage the lynching, though I doubt that makes any difference to you. Who ratted me out, by the way? Was it Titus? He wouldn't have broken first. You're right, Classy was the first to share her suspicions. Oh, I knew the kitten had claws, but not like this. But she couldn't have known I was on the coast. How did you find me? Titus told me it took some convincing. Oh fuck, took some convincing my ass and those ghosts liked me. That guys liked me, I know it. If this is what happens to people whom people like... A dull despair is creeping into her voice. How the fuck do the rest of you get by? Wait, wasn't it you who called me the human can opener? It's not personal, I opened them up. I did, didn't I? And now you've come for me, but fuck them all the same. That did make her forgive them. I do it by asking questions, and I have some for you. Like what? I already told you I didn't do it. A strong moral compass. She still wants the opportunity to make a case for herself. Would you say that Lally was a likable person? I didn't like him. Hardened mercenaries aren't particularly likable types. You don't feel sympathy for mercs? It's hard work. Plenty of broken people who don't come with that kind of body count. Besides, they're paid well for what they do. There's nothing more personal than to add against him, perhaps his way with women. You think I was envious of his conquests? Look, pussy's not a problem for me and definitely not a reason to off someone. Did you feel protective of the Union? Yeah, sure, and I didn't like White Pine sending us those foreign hirelings, me and a fuck ton of other people around here. She didn't hate him, okay? I have other questions. Do you have an alibi for when Lely was shot? Man, I was with the boys the whole night. I hope they at least bothered to impress that upon you. They did say you left to take a really long leak. 15 minutes, around that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I'm sure they also made some funny remarks about that. They always do. I've driven a lot of long haul and shucked a lot of beer, man. Can't do it either without some power of mind over bladder. And anyway, that wouldn't have been enough time. Hold on. No one takes 15-minute leak. Look, fuck you, man. I might have also stopped by the bar. She speaketh truth. Our investigation has shown that 15 minutes was just enough time to commit the murder. Wow, now I'm curious. Please explain. There's a secret way from the first floor of the building to the roof. Don't know it, but also the shot couldn't have come from the roof, or we would have all heard it down there. Yes, and I couldn't speak about that, and that's the thing I always had in mind. She had a point here, there, no one mentioned. The pain stops him from finishing the sentence. That didn't go super well. You've got to lay something better on her. You have a gun. And... do you collect guns, maybe old rifles? No, they're not practical, break too often. I can't quite tell. What kind of gun is it? A Nachtwave 80 front loader, 2-barrel, not really what you were looking for, I'm guessing. That isn't it. I see it's a front loader. Do you have any other gun somewhere? Sure don't. A breech loader? No. Where did you get it? The gun store. What gun store? Trigger Happy Jacks. Really? Trigger? What do you think? That I'm going to squeal my grunt supplier? So I'm not that kind of girl. There's other evidence I want to ask you about. You like Classy a lot. I considered her a good friend, yeah? Is peeping one of your hobbies? I'm not following your clever insinuations, detective. It's just the hole in Classia's wall is pretty suspicious. Look, I'm not aware of any hole in Classia's wall, and if I had been, I would have told her to get to see it. That's what friends do. So you haven't been watching Classia through that hole? No, look, she has an effect on people, that je ne sais quoi, that makes it impossible not to look at her when she walks into the room, and very difficult to look away, but clever enough, and you realize, for the same reason that she is everyone's type, as an object of desire. She's not irreplaceable. But you wanted to be more than just friends. Oh, so that's where you were going with this. She said you wanted to run away with her. That's a very sentimental way of putting it. We both had past we didn't want to catch up with us, and we enjoyed listening to music together. Why not go on a road trip? Lieutenant watches her expectantly, occasionally shaking from the pain. Okay, fine. I was into her. Classia was into me too for a time, I know it. We even fooled around once. And yeah, after that I thought maybe we could make a go for it. Of it. Classia only said they could maybe kiss. Someone is lying here. Wait, Classia said you only kissed. If that's what she wants on the record, so be it. I'm not about to go into details for you to jerk off to later. Seriously, just move on. Then what happened? She rejected me with some wishy-washy bullshit about how she was confused because she felt so close to me and valued my friendship so much and how guilty she felt for leading me on. I knew that wasn't the whole story, but thought, fine, I'll take it and move on. No ill will there. Wasn't a problem for her. Classia said you got very angry when she started seeing Larry. Threatened her. Yeah, one time when we had both been drinking, I said some heated things about how dangerous her patterns with men were. I was a little worried she'd blow it off of proportion in her head. All the drugs she was doing can make you feel like you're giving in a Dororian tragedy. And despite everything, you helped her by staging the lynching? Yeah, the girl seemed terrified. The merc was beyond caring what happened to his mortal coil. It was a no-brainer. Are you a girl like her? What the hell, man? Yeah, why not? I've gotten worse. There are other things I ask about. Do you like to hang out on rooftops? Who doesn't? Oh, you probably mean Classia's rooftop. Sure, I've hung out there. She's got this great antenna. Is that the only reason you hung out on the roof? The view's pretty bomb too, but you might say the antenna was the main attraction there, yeah, along with Classia. What's so great about the antenna? It's very powerful. I used it to tune into RCM frequencies. That's how I knew to be prepared for your arrival. So, you're sure you didn't shoot the mercs from the roof? Yeah, I'm sure, and anyway, as I said before, the shot had to have come from afar. Did you leave any flowers for Classia on the roof? No, gifts of flowers and candy aren't really my style. These weren't just flowers, they were symbols of revolution. So I'm leaving revolutionary symbols around, come on, but Classia was mourning. I never did understand why, when someone dies, a whole house worth of flowers has to die too. Okay, so you didn't leave Mabel's. No, I did not. You're running drugs for the Union, I've been through your lorry. So Heart of Golden Tommy fucked me over too, never trust a musician. That really comes as a blow to her. No, he didn't. I found my own way in. Oh, great. You got into my lorry on your own. What now? You're going to arrest me for drug trafficking? Beneath it, she relieved Tommy didn't betray her. You're a criminal. I can't trust anything you say. That's your prerogative. You had a financial incentive to kill the merc. Man, it's to get away from all those murderous shit that I left Jamrock, my previous employer, for the Union. Huh, the lieutenant is unable to articulate the question. She deliberately avoided naming the mob she worked for. You might be able to find this out later. I got lucky being a dispatcher. I never had to do any of the really dirty work myself. This gun has only been used for self-defense against serious scum. There, it's going to be easier to reach the machine now. But you're threatening us with it. Based on what I've heard about you, you are serious scum. Okay, let's take a step back. Yeah, where? More question before doing anything. Who hit the merc if it wasn't you? How should I know? As I keep saying, he already had a bullet in his head when I got to him, and there hasn't been any useful gossip over the radio. Those rings around her eyes, her tired voice. She's been staying up late, listening in on the conversations crisscrossing Martinez. Police radio? You've been following the case? Who hasn't? You know, I can still see him there, in Classius' room, lying on his side. He was still warm, but the bluish light coming through the broken window made him look as though he'd been dead for a good long while. What happened Sunday night? Tell me your version. It's okay, we just want to... Alright, don't kill yourself over it. I was shooting the shit with Harley and the boys over a few beers like always, then Classic comes in all pale and shuddering. She sits down with a drink, trying to steady her nerves, so I grab a seat next to her. Wait, did she also seem high to you? Oh yeah, super. But I didn't think too much of it at first. I'd seen her party out before. Krasny said you knew something was wrong immediately. No, I really didn't. She's not that easy to read. I just assumed she'd done too much blow. It wouldn't be a first for her, but no such luck. She was in some deep shit. She asked me to come upstairs. The milk she'd been going with was lying on the bedroom floor dead. I knew she couldn't get the authorities involved, so yeah, you made it look like he had been hanged. Classy said you seemed to have a plan prepared when you got there. What? No, faking lynching was her idea. Yeah, in cold blood. It really surprised me how quickly she was able to get a hold of herself once we got up there. It was like she was another person. The party girl was gone. She asked me to help her drag him into the shower so she could wind the shower head around his neck to fake lividity. Then she dressed him while I went to go the Hardy Boys. Classy knew exactly what she was doing. You can't remain calm under pressure otherwise. Showerhead? Resourceful. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether to admire her or be disturbed. Do you think she killed Lely herself? As I keep telling you cops, we didn't hear anything downstairs, no gunshot, nothing. But even if that's true, weren't you worried this lynching might lead to? Well, the thought crossed my mind, but the mercenary's death was going to have repercussions either way. Although the way things are going, she doesn't want to talk about this, but not because she has something to hide. She doesn't want the guilt. Ah, fuck it. I'm not responsible for these people after what they did to me. If you didn't kill him, why hide? I saw you roll into town. I wasn't about to stick around for questioning by a goddamn La Puta Madre agent. What do you mean, La Puta Madre agent? Yes, you. Everyone says you're on his USP on his human can opener. Through the sudden sharp pain in your head, you hear the lieutenant murmur something to himself. Fucking hell, and why me? You hear through the white noise. It's especially bad suddenly. Felt like a vein exploded. Bullshit, you're trying to throw me off. No one says that. Oh yes, they do. The cops, the criminals. Why do you think I'm holed up in here with a goddamn death ray waiting for you? If she knows that about you, she must know your real name too. Tell me what's my name. If you know that about me, you must know my name. Harry Dubois, one corrupt motherfucker with a disco pants and a funny tie. Agent to La Puta Madre. Did someone mention a fucked up tie? I call bullshit. You're too crazy to be corrupt. So she knows your name. That doesn't mean you're on the take. Criminals make up boogeyman stories about cops all the time. Or if this just means that your effective criminals know you and are scared of you. La Puta Madre, I've heard of them. He's dangerous, right? Is that a joke or a threat? I'm guessing both. That was a real question. Yeah, sure, she doesn't believe you. I'm sure La Puta Madre himself will explain it all to you soon enough. What did you do to this Madre anyway? You've been to my lorry. You think the biggest player in Jamrock appreciates competition? And now I have Harry Can opener in my lair. Fucking Titus, she's not going to change her mind that easily. She still perceives you as a threat. Wait, one thing, possibly small, but she said you rode into town? Was that you, singular or plural? She might know something. When I came into town, was there anyone with me? Yeah, you had your death squad with you. What happened to them anyway? I don't know what happened to them. Sure you do. I bet you they're just outside waiting. I guess I'll take my chances. Who was in the squad? Well, it wasn't the scrawny dude. You had two guys and a lady. The guys looked pretty buff. Lady wasn't bad either. What else can you tell me? One of the guys seemed chipper, a blonde, the other had a brooding something or other about him. And the woman was the only one in uniform, all were carrying. That sound about right? No idea who these people are, literally. Satellite Officer Wickermeyer looks out of the window grimly, then puts his coffee down and turns to Patrol Officer Minot. We can either take a room here in the Whirling or go home for today. Let's go home, Jean. Nothing's going to happen today. John takes his Bondwick off. Call Hidestam, he can give us a ride. I think I know them, they're in Martinez. Friction Lock said, don't leave me there, please, Celise. Fantastic, you've got to get on the road, then you can go find your friends, unless you have anything pressing to ask me. Do you know about the bunker next door? What bunker? Just a bunker, have you been there? Don't know anything about it, no one's been around since I set up camp, but I'm sure I'm not the first vagabond to. Her voice trails off into white noise in your head. It feels like an aneurysm approaching. Okay, let's destroy the machine. And that was green, I think. You did it. The compressor lies broken on its side. It's quiet in your head again. It still hurts like hell, but... You okay, Kim? All good, officer. Be careful. She looks at the machine, assessing the damage her hand tremors. Ah, fuck it. She puts the barrel of the gun into... No! What are you doing? Problem solving. Man, put the gun down. That's not a solution to your problems. You are... Oh, yes, it is. Oh my god. That's not a good chance. She's truly desperate. She thinks she has no other options. You need to give her options. What options? You know. Maybe I can still talk her out of it. This is how you talk her out of it. It's the only scenario in which she lives. Please, just walk away. She stares at you, frozen, the gun still in her mouth, eyes filled with dark intensity. Then something shifts in her. Gratitude, doubt, she's still ready to go. You don't have to do this. You're not cornered. I'm letting you go. Day of miracles. She says, pulling the gun out of her mouth, her eyes still fixed on you. Then she turns her gaze to the tunnel behind you. I'll take it. She runs past you, then past the lieutenant, disappears into the darkness of the tunnel. Good call. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. I would have done the same had I not been incapacitated. I think she didn't do it. Her tent. We should check it out. Okay, and that's where we stop this episode. See you tomorrow when we go after the real culprit. Have a nice day.